Shields up, Armbreakers. Workan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about Rajang. Now, I understand that a lot of you are struggling with Rajang. I know that I definitely am, particularly with his tempered version, because the tempered version of Rajang can basically one-shot you regardless if your armor set is augmented, regardless if you have health boost 3. There's quite simply a lot of his attacks that can just one-shot you, and some of them don't even have any tells whatsoever. Like, he'll be sitting right next to you and you're like, okay, I have an opening. He'll punch you and you're dead. Like a very quick punch that has no tells, no nothing. This at least has happened to me multiple times. Maybe that was something weird going on. I don't know, but that's the way it's been going down for me in his tempered version. So I haven't really made like an anti-Rajang build because I kind of feel like there isn't going to be a specific weapon mechanic, at least of the weapons that I tend to play, that is going to make the fight significantly easier. So your best option is going to be to take the weapon that you are most proficient with and try to build around that. Now, I do have a couple of tips of skills that you might want to put into your build to try and survive long enough to get that DPS out there, as well as a couple of tips in regards to some of his attacks and some of the things that you can do to mitigate how aggressive he is all the time. But like I said, at the end of the day, it is going to be a lot about how good you are at your weapon and how much practice you get in on this fight. And I know that having said this, there's probably going to be someone that will come up with a build for that Zenogre heavy bowgun that's been making the rounds with the spread 3 that just destroys everything with a massive shield. But I haven't tried out that build myself because, you know, I don't really play bowguns all that much. So if that is the overpowered one, I'm sure that someone already mentioned that. But in here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to give you guys a couple of tips that will hopefully make the fight easier for you. So starting things off, I got to tell you, try squeezing in health boost 3. I know that a lot of you guys don't like having health boost 3, but it really helps out in this fight. And like I said, I've still been one-shot on occasion through health boost 3, but most of the times it is able to keep me alive. And I mean both in terms of the tempered version as well as the regular version. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what, the other day I was trying to do, I was trying out a new build, a new gun lance build that didn't have health boost 3 on the tempered version. And I think I got carded like 5 times in a span of like 2 minutes. And I was like, well, maybe let's go back to the tried and true method as opposed to trying to get fancy with this. So health boost 3 is definitely a skill that I would advise you guys to get. Another thing that could be useful, in my opinion, is Mega Armor Skin. Try to increase his defenses as much as possible. As a matter of fact, if you don't absolutely need the damage in your weapon, maybe try eating for defense. Or if you have a particular investigation that is tough, try getting Feline Insurance. If you can't get Feline Insurance, get the one that comes from the red buff if you have all the ingredients. I know that I don't have those yet. I need to get farming on that stuff. Another consumable that I would advise would be potentially Dash Juice. You guys are like, Dash Juice? Yes, even if you have a weapon with the shield, just basically try to maintain your stamina as ready to go as humanly possible. Because, you know, if you have constantly full stamina, you can dodge, you can run, you can block. Because even with blocking, and I had a lance build that I was working on, and even with blocking, like, he can burn through your block, even through Guard 3. Guard 3 was the most that I've done. I guess maybe you'll be able to take the beating with Guard 5, but Guard 5 is a bit of a big investment for me from a budget standpoint. But yeah, Dash Juice, I would advise it because, you know, keeping your stamina up will allow you to dodge more often, will allow you to block more attacks, will allow you to, you know, basically stay in the fight longer without, you know, having to stop to recover. Another potentially good skill is Divine Blessing Secret, and it's very hard for me to recommend this skill because I'm incredibly unlucky. Whenever I've done a set that includes Divine Blessing Secret, whenever I really need it, it never procs, which is the reason why you don't usually see Divine Blessing Secret on a lot of my sets. But, you know, I've seen a lot of people swear by it. Like, a lot of the friends that I play with, they all say, no, dude, Divine Blessing Secret's amazing. Other YouTubers that I watch, they also say, no, Divine Blessing Secret is the best thing since sliced bread. But for some reason, it never procs when I really need it, so I just don't really use it in my sets. Having said that, I might do a long shelling set that includes Divine Blessing Secret to try and deal with Rajang, but for now, I'm not using it, but if you are struggling with the fight, this might be something that might give you that little extra edge, okay? Now, when it comes to Mantels, I myself am going a little bit kamikaze with it. I'm not sure if this is the best way to go about this particular fight, but I am using Temporal and Rocksteady. And the reason why I'm using these two Mantels is they allow me to basically flinch without getting interrupted. Flinch shot, I mean. They allow me to flinch shot the monster without getting interrupted. Because, you know, whenever you mount something like a Rajang, he's going to get you off pretty fast. As a matter of fact, a lot of the times he'll actually grab you, not mount, I mean whenever you grapple onto him with a clutch. A lot of the times he will actually grab you out of your clutch. He has an attack that he does that, and I'm not sure if there's a tell to that happening, but he is able to basically grab you off him and do a counter attack, which he then will punish you with a pin down attack. Anyway, again, I'm using Temporal and Rocksteady. If you can use those two without getting yourself killed, that is what I would go for. Now, another thing, if you happen to be soloing, I would advise you to get a sleep weapon on your Palico. As a matter of fact, I would advise you to get a sleep weapon on your Palico whenever you're soloing just out of principle. There's a really good one if you've unlocked the Huntsman's Armor set, which is the guild book, whatever. It's got a lot of sleep. It's got decent ranged attack as well, so that you can use something like Molotov Cocktail, which is my tool of choice. And just having a sleep weapon on your Palico is going to give you at least one sleep per fight, and that is a breather that you get to resharpen your weapon, to do a bomb wake up, to do a lot of stuff. So having a sleep weapon on your Palico, to me, is kind of a big deal. Now, if you are struggling a lot with the fight, maybe you can try out the shield tool. Now, I haven't really tried out the shield tool with the Palico just yet because I'm addicted to Molotov Cocktail. That's just me. But again, the shield tool could be something that provides you with an opening in this fight, and every opening that you can get is going to be useful. But now, beyond just the gear, let's talk about the fight itself. So, first thing, if he is not enraged, you want to try to flinch shot him into a wall. Now, I understand there's a lot of people out there that I've seen in my comment sections, they don't like using the clutch claw, they think it's a gimmick, they don't really like using it, but it's like, look, when you're talking about a monster like this one, and if you are struggling with, like, look, if you're doing fine with it, then you don't have to worry about it, right? But if you are struggling with it, the clutch claw is something that is really going to help out. Because whenever he's not enraged, you should be able to slam him into a wall. So if he's not enraged, try fighting closer to walls so that you slam him into a wall and get an opening. On the other hand, if he is enraged, you want to keep him away from walls as much as you possibly can. And why? Because he has a mechanic that whenever you stagger him, he's going to roll off in the general direction of a wall. And if he happens to reach that wall during the stagger animation, he's going to get back up instantly, and he's going to counter you with a punch attack. Now, that punch attack doesn't deal a lot of damage, but basically what that means is that that thing that you're about to get, which was going to be an opening because you staggered him, is no longer an opening, and he is instead going to attack you and get right back to attacking you again. So in order for you to get as many openings out of your staggers as possible, if he is enraged, try to keep him away from walls so that he is not able to recover from staggers. This also happens when he is not enraged, by the way. If you happen to stagger him when he is not enraged, he's also going to try to go for the wall. However, because of what I mentioned earlier, if he is not enraged, you should be trying to flinch shot him into a wall anyway in order to get another opening. Because whenever you flinch shot him into a wall, he's going to, fall over. By the way, if you don't know how to do the flinch shot into walls, I'm going to link a video on the top right-hand side of this one, which will take you to my Clutch Claw guide, where I explain everything about that particular mechanic. Now, having said that, if the monster is enraged and if the area allows, so if you have like a ledge to work with, or if your particular weapon has mechanics to mount, like the sword and shield or the insect glaive, if you have mechanics that allow you to actually mount the monster, I would try to mount him whenever he's enraged, because whenever he's enraged, you can't flinch. And this is, by the way, a general rule of thumb that you can do for pretty much every monster now that we have the Clutch Claw. If they're not enraged, you should be trying to flinch shot them into walls. If they are enraged, you should be trying to mount them, because those are two things that you can kind of, flinching monsters into walls will enrage them, And if you mount them, it will also enrage them eventually. So, you know, you should use the flint shot when they're not enraged, and you should try to get mounts when they are enraged. At least that's something that I've been doing. Now, when Rajang is enraged, you should try to focus on his tail, because if you deal enough damage to the tail, you'll be able to knock him out of his enrage. This can be challenging depending on the weapon that you're using. I know that it definitely is challenging for me with long shelling gunlands. So usually whenever he's enraged, I just try to shoot him. But if you have a weapon that you can get the mobility down right to actually go after the tail when he's enraged, that is what you should be doing. Another very important thing, do not fight him in areas that limit your stamina usage. I did this quite a few times. An example is, for instance, if you are fighting in the Wildspire Wastes, he actually starts off in that area that has a bunch of water. That water limits your mobility, and not only your mobility, also consumes your stamina more when you're running in that water. So, do not fight him in areas that limit your stamina usage. Like I told you earlier in this video, your stamina is going to save your life. You're going to be able to dodge more often. You're going to be able to block more attacks if you keep your stamina up. If you fight in a bad area, you have only yourself to blame, particularly because of how easy it is to enrage him. Like, it's almost like you look in his general direction and he's going to get pissed off. So the second he's enraged, get the hell out of there. Take him to an area that will be to your advantage. Now, during this fight, this particular monster is going to drop slinger bombs and slinger thorns. You're naturally going to want to use this to your advantage. As a matter of fact, if your weapon is one of the weapons that is classified as light weapons, the weapons that can extract ammunition from the monsters, you definitely want to get some of those slinger bombs, particularly if you're using something like me, like a gun lance. You know, slinger bombs is the best ammunition that you can get for your Wyvern Stake Blast. If you're using other weapons that have slinger bursts, slinger bombs are amazing to get flinches on monsters and give you all kinds of openings. I'm talking to you, great sword dudes, as well as hammer dudes. You know, slinger bombs are really, really good for you to use your slinger burst. If you still don't know how to use slinger burst, like, look through your weapons description. I haven't done crash courses on all the weapons yet. So just look through your weapons hunter notes, figure out how to do the slinger burst, and slinger burst them with slinger bombs. You're going to get a lot of openings with that. And naturally, if he also drops slinger thorns, which I can guarantee you that he does, you want to shoot slinger thorns into his face, because that is going to allow you to get KOs, which again is more openings. So this is a fight that is all about generating openings with this guy, because he's too small of a target for you to chase down with your regular tactics. He's too agile of a target for you to actually get good openings on it without provoking those openings. And now, his most dangerous attack is this one right here. As you can see, he kind of does a roar thing, and then he jumps up in the air. And when he does this, do not be where he is going to land. So if you see him do this, you Superman dive, you run for your life. You hope that you have enough block to block it, because, you know, I know that this is the attack that gets me every time. Because even blocking it is extremely hard. I don't even know if you can block this without guard up, because my gunlance sets always have guard up because of all the unblockable attacks that I can't get out of the way of fast enough. But yeah, this attack right here is probably what is going to get you. So if the second you see this particular opening, go for a Superman dive, go for something. Just do whatever defensive move you can do to get the hell out of the way, because that thing also has an AoE. And that thing will one-shot you, even if it's not the tempered version. If you're not able to take some kind of defensive action, even the normal version of this attack in Rajang is going to kill you. Now, some people might be wondering about his beam. I've never had too much trouble with his beam, because there is a bit of a tell so long as you keep your eyes on the monster. It is fairly easy to avoid. As a matter of fact, most of the times that I've been hit by the beam has been in multiplayer settings, because he's aiming for someone else. And, you know, and I don't notice it, and just like, blam, I get the beam. Or sometimes I might be distracted with something. However, he is also easier in a multiplayer setting, because you will focus different people, and there will give you openings. As a matter of fact, most of the times that I fought him in multiplayer, even the tempered version, it's not really that hard. You know, unless someone is trying out a new weapon or something like that. You know, if people are using sets they are comfortable with, usually in multiplayer, it's fairly easy to get him down. Two more things that I almost forgot to mention are when his arms glow red when he's in his enraged mode, it means your attacks are going to bounce off. Now this is explained to you the very first time you actually fight him during the special assignment, but in case you guys forgot, do remember that. But anyway, whenever he's enraged, you should be trying to focus your attacks in his hind legs or in his tail preferably, but generally in that back region. On the other hand, if you still feel like you want to hurt his arms, make sure to tenderize them so that they become soft, at which point your attacks won't bounce anymore, or take a Mind's Eye Jewel. The other thing is that you should always be topped off in terms of health. I kind of feel like this one should go without saying when I tell you that a monster can one-shot you out of the blue. You should always, always, always be topped off. Don't be like, my health gauge is at 80%, I should be fine. No, you're not. Max out your health gauge before you carry on. Having said that, these are pretty much all of the tips that I have for you right now. I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to figure out the fight to the best of my ability. This is what has gotten me through the fight. I've killed him on tempered a bunch of times with a couple of carts here and there. I've also killed him on tempered without getting carted, but this is, again, in multiplayer settings. Hopefully this video helps you guys out. If you guys enjoyed the video, if it gave you any tips that were useful for you, hitting the like button is something that really helps me out, so I would really appreciate it. But having said that, thank you all very much for watching. Comments and feedback in the comment section down below. If you enjoy my content, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, and may your shields never break.